You know, a question that's never been asked to me is, hey, how'd you come up with that, Generation Cross TV show? Since nobody asked me and I talk to myself a lot, I asked myself that very question. So we had a documentary film crew who's been working on the history of Generation Cross. Tonight, the brand new debut of Behind the Lino.
How you doing? Hello. Good to see you. And good to see you. You know, his jet-set lifestyle has brought him around the world and back again. And then around the world and back again. He's been romantically linked to such A-list stars as Madonna, Julia Roberts, and of course, Julia Child. He's had more faces than Darren from Bewitched, and more personalities than that one lady from that one movie who had all those personalities. In fact, it's almost too much and too big for one life, but it's all part of Lino Rulli. Oh, pardon me.
The character of Lino Rulli started off as a dream of two men, Father John Ferlitti and Nipsey Russell. Little did the pair know that their creation would change the world several times over. Father John first met Nipsey on a cool day in the fall of 1977 on the set of the Wizard of Oz remake, The Wiz. Nipsey mastered his role as the Tin Man. Fame and accolades followed, including an Oscar for Best Actor. Father John at the time was a bright-eyed best boy grip on the film, fresh out of seminary and hoping to change Hollywood into Hollywood.
Well, it was a crazy time with Studio 54 and all, not to mention working with Diana Ross. But Nipsey and I, we just bonded.
And bond they did. After their first meeting, the two came up with a revolutionary idea, one that would change television forever.
It came to us all of a sudden, a religious show with a strange character. We thought his name was Lino. It turns out to be Lino. So we thought, well, the more confusing the character, the better chance we had to deliver the message.
The two began working feverishly on the idea, and the fever paid off. Nipsey took on the main character to forever be known as Lino Rulli. Father John took the back seat as Nipsey's sidekick / best boy grip. On a muggy day with the threat of severe weather in the summer of 1980, Generation Cross with Lino Rulli debuted.
What a magical show. Those first few years were pure magic. I mean, Nipsey really took to the part well. He really became Lino Rulli, which, as we all know, led to his downfall.
The show was a smash hit with critics and won immediate adoration from billions of fans.
It was just sudden, boom, there it is, we're a hit. It was truly, truly amazing. And the great thing was that people were talking about religion again.
The show's first 3 seasons were a blur of success and fame, racking up a record 275 Emmy nominations. And Nipsey and Father John's partnership flourished under the bright lights of Hollywood.
Those years were their Sgt. Pepper years. I mean, just a staggering amount of creativity and excitement.
Nipsey began to dedicate himself completely to the Lino Rulli character. Working to exhaustion, Nipsey's bright star was almost burnt out. Friends and family, and even people who hardly knew him, became increasingly worried.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a little scared. Nipsey was pushed very hard by his advisors to give up the show and to focus on his movie career. He was offered parts in Raging Bull, Ordinary People, and the first 2 Police Academy movies. He had to turn them down, and I think that really ate at him.
The truth is, we all get busy in life. If you don't pray, if you don't have that foundation in life, it gets overwhelming. I think that's what happened to our Nipsey.
Then, on a rainy spring day in 1986, after almost 6 years as Lino Rulli, Nipsey got an offer he couldn't refuse, even though it meant turning his back on the show he made a hit.
It was his dream part. I mean, how often does someone get to star in a movie with Goldie Hawn, where she's a football coach at an inner city high school? I mean, he'd still be waiting for another movie like that.
Ben Edwards.
Molly McGrath.
Right.
The part, of course, was his lovable but edgy take on the role of Ben Edwards in the Goldie Hawn vehicle Wildcats.
Right.
And the movie would mark the end of Nipsey's successful run as his beloved Lino Rulli.
Nipsey wanted to get back to being Nipsey. He saw what had happened with Andy Kaufman and Bowie and their alter egos, and he was scared.
Father John took the news hard, but he was dedicated to keep the show going. It wasn't about the host.
Right.
It was about the message. The only question for him now was how. Against Father John's wishes, the producers of the show decided to cast former teen heartthrob Leif Garrett as the new Lino.
Leif Garrett? What an awful choice. I don't know where that came from, but it was a bad idea.
That was a hard time for the show. I can't tell you how many times I thought we'd get canceled.
But on the unseasonably cool day of May 19, 1990, Lifo's indulgences took center stage. On a binge of drugs and alcohol, Lifo showed up for a live broadcast, slurring his words, cursing at employees, and eventually passing out in the hallway. Leif completely missed the show, and Father John feared it would bring down the character of Lino Rulli forever.
I really shouldn't say anything. It was a long time ago, and I've moved past it. I forgive him. How can I not? If we're not people who forgive, then we've missed the whole point of the show. We've missed the whole point of our faith.
Leif was fired. The show was in jeopardy, and for the first time in 10 years, Father John was without a Lino.
In the spring of 1991, Father John returned to the show with a renewed sense of spirit. He decided to try an experimental show with guest Linos. Megastars like Tom Cruise, Abe Vigoda, and Mr. T lined up to guest host. The critics loved the idea, but the producers weren't so sure. They wanted a regular, everyday Lino like Nipsey's Lino had been. Father John, he was resistant.
But on a rainy day that had an unexpectedly pleasant morning in June of 1995, Father John met controversial white rapper MC Vanilla Thunderpower, and the two clicked instantly. He was born Van Thunderpower from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. But MC Vanilla made a name for himself for his strange appearance and his strange lyrics.
I rock the street, I rock it well. Sucker MCs try to ring my bell, but they don't know what my peeps already know. Mess with me and I'll show you the door.
But on a windy day in 1993, his rap career began to flounder. The world had seen enough of MC Vanilla Thunderpower.
I think it was becoming painfully obvious to Thunderpower that his rapping career was over. That is, if you believe it really ever started.
A dedicated fan of Nipsey Russell, Thunderpower jumped at the opportunity to become Lino Rulli. But Father John's producers weren't as open to Thunderpower as he was.
They were scared of him. They had already been burned by Leif Garrett. They were wondering how stable this controversial white rapper with a big nose named MC Vanilla Thunderpower would be.
But on a humid afternoon in 1995, Thunderpower became Lino Rulli. On the show and in his heart.
Nah, I mean, I didn't think I could make the changeover just with the name. I had to be that name. Man, forget about Nipsey and Leif and T, Abe. Nah, man, I'm Lino Rulli. No, as I say, hey, I'm Lino Rulli.
And sensing this Lino had some of the spirit as his idol Nipsey Russell, the fans started coming back in droves. And once again, Generation Cross with Lino Rulli was back on top.
Is it the same show as when Nipsey was at the helm? I don't think so. I think those days are gone. But it's got something. You don't really mind watching it.
Through the many ups and downs of the Lino Rullis, the one constant has been Father John. And Father John swears the shows he and the new Lino are doing now are the best shows he's ever done.
It's great, because there are shows. We're doing the show we want to do. We're smaller, but I think we're better.
No matter what the future holds for Lino Rulli, whoever it may be, one thing is clear. The ever-changing face of Lino Rulli has already changed television history, and no matter how Lino is judged in the eyes of history, he's already part of our life. For Behind the Lino, I'm David Schechter.
Bravo, Father John, bravo. You know you can't wait to see. Well, I know this girl and she wanted me. You can't laugh.
And they were worried how stable this controversial white rapper with a big nose named MC Hammer.
Well, I know this girl, and she wanted me to grab my Polaroid and go take a seat. It wasn't quite there, was it?
Try a groundbreaking line of guest Lino Rulies. Mega celebrity.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Whew.
You should have seen how pathetic you looked coming out of there. Come on, I mean.
Well, I know this girl, and she wanted me to grab my Polaroid and go I go the wrong shoulder. Yeah.
This controversial white rapper with a big nose named MC Vanilla Thunderpower would be.
Would be didn't sound like it fit there.
And she wanted me to grab my Polaroid and go take a seat. I can't remember the rest. Oh, hey. Oh, right on time. Hey, welcome. You know, it's today's Generation Cross Fan Appreciation Day. Did you stop laughing? I didn't think you were ready.